Now, coming back to your management of the team, right? So, as a team manager or as a leader, what are the qualities that one should have in order to carry forward with the successful team?
I think one is what I mentioned that time about trusting and
Yeah.
higher how much freedom or flexibility you give to them, right? And second, at least what I faced or still faces to get the work done. That is but very hard. That has never taught to us delegation and the art of getting things done, right? So that is something that I think maybe comes with experience. Some people are naturally born with that gift of they can get anything done with some other. So that is something I think we should. I continuously work on how to improve that because starting 1 year May, I was thinking I would rather get the work done by myself than having to spoon feed or train them.
Yeah.
Those all those challenges with it. So I think as a leader right now, I am 100% sure that we cannot scale or grow unless it is. I mean, we are actually the leaders, or thinking from a bird's eye view of everything rather than trying to execute everything. So trust them and get the things done. This is a major quality, I would say. Now, of course, we should be, I think, as a leader, able to do a lot of multitasking because
Mm.
coming from architecture background or something where we used to manage 1 or 2 clients, now there may be 15 clients at one time who want something, right? So not just from client deliverables. Even today at 10, I might be looking to hire somebody. 12, I might be surprised that somebody who has been hired is telling me that I'm leaving. Or 2 o'clock, I might have a client meeting. So there are so many context switching that is happening each day, I'm saying. So that you should be ready. I mean, I was not aware it would be like this, but over time I have figured it out that this is how it is. There will be a lot of things on a plate, and many things will not go as per how we have planned all that. So
Yeah.
have come to terms with it as of now. Maybe there are many more surprises in the future, but now so far I think this quality to not think that everything is smooth here as well. Maybe once you
Yeah.
that everything is going to be easy, even if it in practice, or definitely even industry will have their own challenges. But because I know this side of the story, I am sure that there will be a lot of days when we even think of why did we even do this. I wouldn't. I would be lying if I don't think like that. I mean, there are days when we get kind of burnt out and all that, but it's part of the journey. Is what I realize now. So
Okay.
that doesn't demotivate me any further.
Okay. I took a lot of takeaways from this that instead of gaining experience about team management and then getting into a startup, you just got into startup and then figured out.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I mean that process is much more better than you trying to figure out and then learn more about it is good, right?
Yeah,
Nothing goes as per your plan. Expect the
yeah.
unexpected. Yeah,
Ah, exactly.
I totally accept to your point. And so coming back to the startup, so I know that you have written a book called The Startup Handbook on Finance and Compliances, right? So you're an author
Uh,
of that. Okay.
Actually, it's still a work in progress. It's
Okay.
launched or released, or we are planning for a soft launch online, but it's still some work to be done there. Yeah. Sorry.
So, so what's your key takeaways from the book? Like, what are you writing, and what do you want to say to people, and what can we expect from the book?
It's more about the mistakes and learnings that have been. I mean, we have been interacting with a lot of startup owners, maybe around 50, 60 of them, and we are trying to understand what are the mistakes they did because what happens in the startup space is given the pressure there is or to grow, scale, make revenue, all that, right? So finance is something that they focus the least about, finance and compliance basically. So in the initial 2, 3 years or until an auditor comes and points out or until a due diligence people come and point out, right? The founders tend to neglect this function completely. There is not even
Hmm.
so we are trying to understand what are the top 10, 20, 50, 100 reasons that they regret now not having
Okay.
done that. So some of the things like there are many startups in India who are registered in the US. Okay, so
Yes.
subsidiaries of Delaware or US C Corp and all that things. So some of them what they've done is they incorporated in India first, then they incorporated in the US as a separate entity, and then they had to struggle a lot to make this Indian entity as a subsidiary of that entity because you've already incorporated this first, right? Do the share transfer because
Yes.
you valuation, the income tax provisions of FEMA, multiple things coming in later. So this is one thing they wish that they had consulted an expert and done this right on day one rather than having to spend time after 5 years just to make this flip or trying to make this a subsidiary. So things like that is what we're covering under each function. This is from incorporation. Maybe one more example I could give is about reporting the numbers, right? Let's take uh, Schedule 3 as an example. Any founder who is not from a finance background wouldn't understand what is non-current liability. So it is very important for them to figure out that is required by law is not something them. They have to build a system internally to figure out maybe on a monthly or a quarterly basis to understand what the numbers actually look like rather than running blindly, right? So some of them told that these factors, these financial numbers, if they were available on such and such date in the past, it would have helped them take better decisions. So they wish that there was somebody who could take care of this back then. They didn't even know there was something called financial projections. They just know doing business coding or whatever, right? Because most of them are engineers and all that. So unless they had that awareness, so this awareness also was lacking in the initial stages. Things like that is what we're trying to cover. So of SaaS founders, mistakes, how we can overcome them, what are the learnings, all this put together is maybe it's a 50 to 100 page book where these things like
Okay, that's nice. So, how is your journey going on as an author?
so this is one more thing when I refer to the multitasking thing, right? There are 5 things already. Apart from this, I have taken this as well, right? Taken the call to go ahead with this. So the time that I have is obviously limited. So to manage this is a challenge. We are talking to founders. We are able to take notes at that time, but to convert it into better wording. So because we don't have that experience, we've only written exams, never books or stories. So it is definitely challenging to me. It is something that I've never done before. So I am hoping that the final product is something really good. But we would definitely internal reading things like that before we launch it. So it's very challenging. At the same time, exciting to talk to founders and relate to them that
Yeah.
I wish if I were there, I could have solved it this way, or maybe I am still facing that issue even today. Things like that. I think it's really interesting to do this.
I am really excited to read the book. I'm really excited. I think you should launch as soon as possible. By then, people would be watching your videos and then exciting face to a lot of startups.
Yes.
And now, I just wanted to ask you that as a CEO or as a founder or a co-founder or as a partner, you have your personal finances also into
Yeah.
one side. So you have company one side and you have your personal finances one side.
Yes.
So what are the plans that you're making to yourself to manage your finances, the personal finance? What are your investments that you're making, and what are the key investments or the mandatory investment that one should have? Like we have this health insurance, life insurance, and various other investment options. So how are you planning your finances?
Yeah, I think this is something that similar to what we're referring to compliance, right? This is where the awareness is very less, I think. I'm glad you asked that question. I wouldn't count myself an expert, but through online reading, YouTube and all that, I think I have no doubts that taking an insurance is a no-brainer now. It is for sure a mandatory requirement in the rest of my life, be it medical insurance or life or term, any of those, right? The insurance. So I think that is definitely one. And how I personally manage is of course, when I mention insurance, it's also for anyone who is dependent on you, my parents maybe, or
Yeah.
siblings, whoever it is, right? Spouse. And other than that, I think the liquid cash that I have, I try to keep something in my savings account or some liquid instruments. I'm not very focused on gaining the alpha returns even for that reserve amount. I'm okay if just it is in the savings account, the reserve that I have. And all of the other amounts I do completely in equity, be it mutual funds or directly in stocks. So I am not a believer of real estate or not a believer of gold. So I don't may have any other investments. Of late I've also started investing in debt instruments, bonds and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I invest more in equity, lesser in debt. But rest of the money is, I mean, most of the money is in these two instruments.
Okay, so according to you, health insurance, life insurance is a
Yeah,
must to yourself and to your
yeah,
dependent.
definitely.
And you have diversified your portfolio between equity and debt, and the more portion is in equity. So this is
Yes.
your portfolio
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
diversification.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
No other
that.
assets.
Okay, so that's wonderful to hear. And coming to the current scenarios in the market, so there are a lot of things that are happening in our market. So first one is moonlighting, right? So moonlighting has been a hot topic that has been going around companies, startups, and there, some people are against it and some people are for it. So what is your view on moonlighting?
Uh, yeah, as an employer, right? As I was referring to the micromanaging things like that, I wouldn't mind what they do on Saturday, Sunday, or after office hours at all. If the firms of the office work is getting done in a smooth manner. Where I would have a problem is if that gets affected, right? Let's say there is an important call at 4 today, and the person who was supposed to prepare for that is working on something else. So things like that, I think if I'm having a few bad experiences, which I've never had so far, if I indeed have a few bad experiences managing team members who are moonlighting, I think that is when I would take a serious stand that it is good or bad. But right now, I don't find we know that few of our team members help file some of their family members' returns. They have few side clients, so we have absolutely no problem. And most of them are open in telling to us, irrespective of them
Okay.
to tell to us or not. I have an opinion that if it doesn't affect the work, right? Be it Saturday, where it's their time. If they go for movie or if they're working, we shouldn't be really bothered about it. I think that is my stand on it now. Maybe only it might change if I have maybe double digit bad experiences of people with from trying to do it and messing up the internal work. Until that comes, I think I'm very cool and absolutely not bothered what they're doing in their free time.
Okay, so as long as that it doesn't affect your current
Yeah,
work
exactly.
scenario, and also as long as everything is in place, you're okay with it. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely,
okay with it.
absolutely okay with you. Whether or
Okay.
not they tell it, I think there shouldn't be any reason why we should know it as well. Right? I mean,
Yeah. So as long as they disclose to you and say that this is what I'm doing, you're okay with
no,
it.
no, even if they don't disclose and just
Yeah.
their work is done, I think maybe there are
Okay.
people who are hesitant to disclose, thinking that what will they think, will they fire us, things like that, right?
Mm.
So let it be. Just ensure that I think the first priority must be to get things done. What your fixed pay job ka, and that can be always a side hustle. Shouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay, okay, I get it. So as an employer, you're supportive and you're on the side which
Yeah,
is for
yeah,
it, and
yeah,
you're totally
yeah, yeah, yeah,
supportive.
yeah,
That's really wonderful to hear. Coming back to Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is a strong supporter of cryptocurrency. I know that he keeps tweeting about
yeah.
Dogecoin, which is one of the cryptocurrencies, and I'm myself a crypto trainer
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
trader. So I also believe in technology, blockchain, and the cryptocurrency. I know Indian government has not treated it yet as a legal tender or a currency. It's just a capital investment or a capital asset.
Yeah.
So what is your take on cryptocurrency as a CA who's looking into the compliances part and finance part and the growth and the economy? So what is your take on cryptocurrency?
I am definitely when you are asking that question, I should be much better prepared. I think I don't know much about that space. It is something that I have never understood after maybe spending a few hours trying to understand. But I think most of the disruptions have happened this way, where people have struggled to understand why this was happening. Maybe 20 years back, 30, 40 years back, when internet came, I was just reading some places where they said even people were questioning about or doubtful whether internet will survive, and we know.
Yeah.
So I don't know what crypto exactly is, to be honest, but I think almost everything that has become very popular now and then inevitable in our life today, even maybe the stock market for that example, right,
Yeah.
would have been similar to this is what I think. Because if not for that, there wouldn't be so many supporters, even people like Elon Musk, right, or even other top people supporting it, unless they found some value. Not that everyone in the world is foolish to go behind it. So
Yeah.
I have never invested. I mean, even in your personal finance question, right? I don't
Hmm.
I don't understand, so I have never invested. But I think, yeah, I don't see it is something that will die or I think it is here to stay. And one more thing was the regulatory.
Aspect, yeah.
There is a lot of confusion. There are few of our clients or acquaintances have asked us what to do because they were getting money in crypto, things like that. So in India, I think, I mean, it's absolutely blur now. There is no clarity. There's some income tax. Some nobody knows what is in GST, whether FEMA. So it's completely vague. But because there are multiple countries who have already legalized it and have strong frameworks for this, I'm sure India will just follow their path. They're just waiting for some concrete thing. And I think Indian government wouldn't mind it. I don't know from a currency point of view, but at least the trading and other things, right? Wouldn't mind it as long as the revenue gets what it is supposed to get, the money or taxes or whatever. I don't see even the government backing off. This is my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
I think it is meant to stay, and I'm 100 overconfident that India is not going to ban it or
Okay. So your view is India
cancel.
is not going to ban
I,
completely.
I don't think
Yeah.
so at all.
Yeah. Hari, so we have few questions from the audience. So I just posted a post on my LinkedIn page and asked if people want to ask some questions. And I told them that I'm going to interview a person who is into CA
You told my
practice.
name, is it? You
No, I
haven't
haven't disclosed your name, but
should
once
have
they,
done. No. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So now they'll get to know the moment
yeah.
I upload the video on my YouTube channel. So this is a question from Parthiban Ezel.
Okay.
So the question that I would like to ask you are as follows. He has asked 5 questions. So number one is, how is the initial stages of practice and the required capital for the same?
Initial stages of practice, thanks to, I would say, maybe I'm not sure if we can be generalized, but it has been pretty good for us. It is in a sense, as I was mentioning, right, to break even from an external cost point of view, it was very quickly we were able to do that. So initial phase, otherwise, there is a lot of learning. You should be ready for unbelievable amount of learning curve in the initial years because it's completely new. Entrepreneurship was something we would have never seen, right? I mean, at least for V3, none of them in a family also were business. Most of them were salaried, and we hadn't seen any service business in our thing. So if you are coming from such a background, it becomes even more harder to understand. But we should appreciate that this is there for everyone. It is as tough as it is for you to anybody else who is starting up. It's not like you are cursed with something that is what's happening to you. So that once you accept that, I think we are enjoying the learning. If we are enjoying it, I think there's nothing stopping. And as I said, right, once you figure out the first 2 3 years, then there is no stopping us. So
What is the required capital for the
capital.
same?
I would say this laptop that I'm using and optional was the office space, right? And if
Yeah.
somebody is extremely unsure whether to start or not, they could rather try working from home, have a small setup at home itself. We three were very sure about what we were doing. So we invested upfront quite a sum of money, which we took from our parents basically. So as capital there. So if he's looking for the actual numbers, I think for an office that can accommodate 20 people, right? At least my numbers, I think it was around 15 lakhs of capital in at that time, 3 years back. Maybe
That too in a city like Bangalore.
we
Yeah.
also chose the prime location in Mandish,
Mm,
Bangalore.
yeah.
So the rent was, I think, back then 40K or something per month.
Okay.
So factored in all that, we were ready for that. So unless you have that real decision making power, right? If you're starting alone, I don't. If I was starting alone, I'm not sure if I would have had such a big office or I would have taken the risk to pay 40K a month as rent that time. But now, as it has gone decently well, it looks easier. But it was Parthiban, is it? I would long short story short, I would say if you're 100% sure or confident or things like that, right? Then directly have some amount of good interiors being done in office. Even if half of the work gets done at work from home or such setups, it's always good to have good office space is what we feel. But my personal thing and laptop, I think, I mean, because we don't play games and all, a decent laptop is good enough. Need not be a high processor and all. So that's
Okay.
the only investment we are doing.
So it's about your interest, your contribution, and also you don't need huge capital if you
No,
start
not
off.
at all. Not at all. CA, I think, is the easiest
Yeah, I totally
startup.
accepted to that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and he's also asking, he has asked 5 questions totally. So the second
Okay.
question is, how is the current market for practice in India?
It's I think ever growing only. One good thing for practice is the number of people who are starting up practice after qualifying is reducing, it seems. More people are trying to take a, because maybe that is because of the CTCs being significantly higher in the other side. It is
Yeah,
definitely so from a start from a practice, if you see, right, the number of people or the competition or things like that are reducing, so that is definitely helping, along with the market is only growing as more and more this entrepreneurial thing is there in the youth now, right? Everyone wants to do something on their own, so that
yeah,
will only be helpful for practice in India, I think. No issues at all. Only thing is there are some challenges over the regulatory framework where we are thinking of losing some audits. GST audits we don't do. We don't have. We in a sense CS, it's not required mandatory to do something like that. Changes like this keep
yeah.
happening. I think the market is too big in India to get affected by these small regulatory changes or things like this. I think no issue.
The third question is, what are the different verticals of services which are being offered and are preferable for a new practicing firm?
For new
Verticals of services.
for new firm there is no unless you are leaving a experienced job, right, where you are already having experience in, let's say you had a job in big four where you are retiring or resigning as a manager in audit or manager in taxation, then it becomes an obvious choice for you to start something that specializes in tax, because that in and out, and you might have a lot of client contacts and all that. But for someone who is starting straight out of becoming a CA, I think everything you have to do more or less, right, from maybe incorporation, individual ITR, company ITR. There are do that. Try to do whatever comes your way, unless you are very sure.
So you're saying that initially it is good to start with an area that you are specialized in.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
already have that specialization, we didn't have such thing.
So you started doing every
Almost
service.
everything, almost
Yeah.
everything.
Okay. That's great to hear. And his next question is, what is your suggestion? Practicing as a CA fresher or practice after a work experience related to practice works?
That's a CA fresher.
Yeah, so I know that you started as a CA fresher, so
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
he doesn't know that you started as a
yeah, yeah,
CA
yeah.
fresher. But could you also tell us that practicing after a work experience? So do you think that is successful also?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people who have, I mean, especially the experience was in Big Four and all that, right?
Mhm.
Expertise or the detailed in some, I don't know if that can be generalized, but I have seen few of my friends who have left senior positions in these big fours or some industrial this ones, and with that knowledge, right, let it say mergers and acquisitions, there are we for example don't know how to do it. There are very few competitors in the market in the practice space who can do a proper consulting in mergers and acquisitions. Let's say if you had the expertise in that in your employment, then definitely makes sense for you to come out of it, and that gives a lot of confidence. Whereas if for me, it was a straightaway decision, because I was more sure that I wouldn't be able to leave a good, well-paying job and then come back. It was a very tough change to make. So if you're prepared for that, then going for employment, learning something, making some money, and then coming back also makes not much of a difference. I think both of them.
Okay. And his last question is, in your opinion, the things which have to be kept in mind before taking up practice. He's asking, in your opinion, what are the things that you have to keep in mind when someone before getting into practice or taking up practice?
I think, yeah, one of them was that I think if you have people who are financially dependent on you,
Hmm.
they consider their inputs or should keep them in mind as well, because
Hmm.
it's not necessary that you have a fixed revenue every month. In the initial days, at least, it's totally unpredictable. Your costs are more or less predictable, but your revenue is highly unpredictable in the initial,
Hmm.
I think.
So next we have questions from Ashwin Ramesh.
Okay.
So I know him. I'm sure you also know him.
Sure.
So Ashwin, Ramesh, first of all the very best. Quit a regular source of income and take a chance. Is this an option? Advisable? Quit a regular source of income that you have, a salary job, and then get into practice. Is it advisable?
Definitely. I think one advantage we have as CAs, right?
Mm.
Only thing is you should, I mean, one thing, as I said about the financial dependency, if you are also having a lavish lifestyle where your expenditure per month is 1 lakh rupees alone, then it will be very difficult to make that jump. Let us say that is figured out. Then I think the risk of failure in CA practice is lesser, because one, the probability is lesser because somehow you will get some clients to make a living, things like that. Second is, even if it fails, right, after 1 year, let's say you are absolutely not able to get any clients, even then the market is always open for you where you are earlier employment, because you have that CA degree and you also have a lot of knowledge, experience. It's not going to fade away just because your 1 year was off. So I
Yeah.
think absolutely doable, and many people should definitely try that as well. It's not nothing to be scared of, I think. And
Okay.
if you start enjoying, then you'll never have to think about going back as well.
Okay. I get it. So what is your aspiration and outlook for the future? Ashwin's question is, what is your aspiration and outlook for the future?
Yeah, so right now when we are building or trying to grow Zona, right, it is mainly to help at least 1,000 startups with complete finance compliance. So be it bookkeeping or everything, right? Accounting, compliance, all those things. So that is the immediate, I mean, not immediate, definitely. 15 years, I think if we are able to achieve that, that is what our aspiration we are. That in itself is ambitious. We want to try Indian market and the US market to start with, right? Maybe Singapore, because there are a lot of startups getting incorporated there as well. So this is what we have kept as a long-term mission, or in vision. Sorry. So this is aspiration, and what we should do, right? We should break down this into some realistic, achievable targets. Let's say year on year. This year I
Okay.
take 15, 20, because target is 1,000 over 10, 15 years. Take 20 and try to figure it out, build a team. So this big aspiration is definitely there, which we continuously try think on how we can achieve them, and try to break it down into smaller tasks and achieve that year, quarter, like that.
Okay. So your target audience is wider.
Yeah,
Basically, it's not only India that you're
yeah, exactly.
targeting other countries' clients as well. I have some more questions that now a lot of them are preparing for CA examination, and many of them are aiming for rank. And so, what is your tips to them? To all those people who are watching out here, to get some tips from you, because you are a CA ranker. So, what is your tips to them? How well they can prepare?
Uh, when I prepared, I think you should have some goal ultimately. Let's say I had subject wise targets for achieving it. Like, not that every subject you should score 90 or 80 or anything. I knew how good I was in that subject. I would, and even if the target is way off, it is okay. Nobody judging. Ultimate goal is to pass. But if you're able to build that ultimate goal to smaller achievable goals, let's say I want to score 50 marks or 60 marks, whatever, right? That way, it has helped me personally in trying to go.
So, you planned your scores
I planned my
and
scores.
you got the same scores?
I think I got I mean, as much as fancy as it sounds, right? I got a 40 in law, corporate
Okay.
law, exact 40. If it was 39 instead of 40, forget rank. I wouldn't have even cleared. So it's a huge risk that I took. So my targets, I think I achieved in 4 or 5 subjects. Remaining subjects, I wasn't bothered about it. It was just a piece of paper ultimately. When the
Mm.
results came, you are only bothered about passing and maybe rank, right? I mean, even if I didn't got a rank, I wasn't worried or anything, because passing itself was a big thing. But what I'm trying to say is, if you have that goal, right, where you continuously keep pushing, if you only settle for, let's say, just pass or things like that, what happens if you don't do that also, right? The lower is,
Yeah.
if you aim for something, you will not like you will always have to beat it. No pressure, shouldn't be pressure building factor. But for me, that has helped. That, let's say I have written FR, I have told I want 70, let us say. Then,
Mm.
and my night, maybe I would be thinking, how will I get 70 if I am preparing like this? I should fast enough. Something, some internal fact,
Mm.
1% above what you think you can, right?
Yeah.
That was the target that I had set, and I was happy even if that 10% was lesser or even 10% was 20% was, it's okay, right? That doesn't matter. But that target, if you're running blindly, doesn't matter how fast you're running, right? Because you're running nowhere ultimately. So I
What
think
you think is what you become.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, that's interesting. Before we end our conversation, so what is the advice that you want to give to the young generation?
I think two, three things. One is to be ambitious. Ambitious, as you said, right? Think more than what you think you can achieve, and you will reach there. So, other than this, I think stay as humble and as possible. That I think that is something that has helped me as a lot. I would say, right? Not that I am super successful and everything, but whatever has achieved is best example is at Loka 40, right? If I had 40, nothing was there, no CA, nothing that time. So I should be thankful. I should consider myself lucky. It's not like I am the smartest on there. So that realization I think has helped me a lot in the time. Right? Yeah, as
Be
grounded.
ambitious, be grateful and have gratitude, and also never be disappointed and always believe in yourself is your
Sure,
advice to the
exactly.
young generation.
Yeah.
And it's so
You,
wonderful. It's so thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time, Hari Ullody. It was pleasure having you on my YouTube channel. I feel overwhelmed and happy, and I'm super excited to upload this on my YouTube channel, and you're the first guest. That's it from my end. Thank you so much, Hari Ullody. And
thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I am coming to the grateful thing, right? I am grateful that I got this opportunity. I mean, that comes genuinely, right? Because this is my first interview as well, right? After the two interviews that I failed in 2018 from a job interview, I have taken multiple interviews for candidates, but in the other side, it feels very refreshing, right? Because I have thought about last 10 years in what 1 2 hours, right? So it was very nice.
And also to my viewers, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos. Bye bye.
Bye bye.